Tambo was not just any baby elephant. He was a bundle of joy, wrapped in grey skin and oversized ears, a heart full of curiosity, and a spirit eager to explore the vast savannah. His days were filled with innocent mischief, splashing in waterholes, chasing after butterflies, and playfully tussling with the other young members of his herd. Tambo had a contagious laugh, a sound that resonated like a distant thunderstorm, bringing smiles to the faces of his family. He loved nothing more than the warmth of the sun on his back and the gentle rustle of the grass beneath his feet. But today was different. As he wandered slightly away from his protective mother, the world felt unusually quiet and still. In his innocent wanderings, Tambo stumbled upon a place he had never seen before. The air was thick with tension, and he sensed something was amiss. Despite the warnings of the surrounding landscape, curiosity pulled him closer to a strange patch of earth. The ground felt soft under his little feet, and before he knew it, the ground gave way, sending him tumbling into a hidden pit. A deep, dark void, camouflaged against the savannah's beauty, swallowed him whole. Panic surged through him as he trumpeted loudly, his cries echoing against the walls of the pit. Hours passed, and the sun hung high in the sky, bathing the savannah in golden light. The baby elephant called out, his tiny voice filled with desperation. But the sounds faded into the vast emptiness of the wild. His herd, unaware of his plight, continued their journey, leaving Tambo alone and frightened. The pit was his prison, and the more he struggled, the more he realized how truly trapped he was. With each passing moment, fear gnawed at his heart. Meanwhile, in a nearby thicket, Shira, a fierce lioness with a mane of sun-kissed fur, lay in the grass. She had recently endured a heart-wrenching loss. Her cubs had been taken from her by merciless hunters, leaving her with an aching void. Her spirit had dimmed, and hunger clawed at her insides. But as she roamed the savannah, a flicker of instinct urged her to hunt. When she caught the sound of Tambo's cries, the note of despair struck a chord within her. Curiosity piqued. She followed the sound, her heart heavy with both longing and bitterness. As she approached, she saw the pit where the baby elephant was trapped. Instinctively, her predatory instincts flared. Here was her chance to assuage her hunger, to reclaim a sense of power that had been stripped from her. Yet as she peered down into the pit and met Tambo's wide, frightened eyes, something shifted within her. The innocence and vulnerability in the baby elephant's gaze softened the jagged edges of her grief. Instead of looking at him as a meal, she felt an unexplainable connection, a flicker of maternal instinct that made her heart ache for the little creature. For a moment, Shira hesitated, caught in a battle between the instinct to hunt and the instinct to protect. With a deep breath, she made a decision that would alter the course of her life. She dropped to her belly, her powerful body inching closer to the edge of the pit. Tambo watched in confusion as the lioness approached, not with the ferocity typical of her kind, but with a gentleness he had never expected. Shira began to push branches and stones toward him, her strong paws working tirelessly to create a slope for Tambo to climb. Each time he attempted to scramble up, he would slip back down, but her determination only grew stronger. The lioness took a step back and observed the situation, her eyes filled with something profound, a sense of purpose. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the savannah, the situation became dire. Shira's efforts were valiant, but time was running out. The hunters, the very predators that had stolen her cubs, were returning to check their trap. The sound of their laughter echoed through the air, a chilling reminder of her loss. Shira's heart raced, not for herself, but for Tambo, who remained oblivious to the danger looming above. Realizing she had to act quickly, Shira's instincts kicked in once more. She stood tall, her muscles tense, and faced the approaching hunters. With a loud roar that rippled through the grasslands, she announced her presence, a fierce protector of the innocent. The shock flickered across the hunters' faces, and for a brief moment they hesitated. Shira stood her ground, the embodiment of defiance and strength, ready to fight for the life of the little elephant she had come to care for. Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us and is the only way stories like Tambo's and Shira's can reach a wider audience. Together we can ensure that the tales of these beautiful creatures, who often go unheard, are shared with many more. So please subscribe now. As the hunters advanced, their eyes narrowing at the sight of the lioness, the tension in the air thickened. Shira knew she was risking her life, but her heart swelled with determination. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of belonging, a purpose that transcended her own suffering. Tambo was counting on her, and she would not let him down. In that moment, the savannah was not just a backdrop, it was a stage for an extraordinary tale of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond that can form in the face of adversity. Shira's heart pounded like a war drum in her chest as she faced the hunters, their cruel laughter blending with the rustling of the grass. She knew they were armed, each clutching weapons that had taken the lives of countless creatures, including her own cubs. Yet, the fear of death paled in comparison to the fear of failing Tambo. The baby elephant's frightened trumpets echoed in her ears, urging her into action. She couldn't bear the thought of him being left alone, vulnerable, when she had the power to protect him. With a deep breath, Shira gathered her courage. The hunters were more than just men with weapons. They were a reminder of everything she had lost. But today, she would not allow them to take another innocent life. She bared her teeth, the sunlight glinting off her powerful muscles, her eyes fierce and unwavering. "Come on then," she growled, her voice low and steady. "If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you'll get." The hunters exchanged glances, their bravado wavering for a moment. They had expected an easy target, a meal to fill their bellies, but the sight of a protective lioness challenged their assumptions. Shira stepped forward, her form casting a formidable shadow over the pit where Tambo remained. She roared again, the sound reverberating through the savannah, a warning and a rallying cry all at once. "Get back, you cowards!" she shouted, her voice echoing in the stillness that followed. The hunters hesitated, their confidence shaken by the sheer ferocity of the lioness. Before them, they had come to claim a prize, but now they were faced with an unexpected adversary. Shira's heart raced as she watched them weigh their options. She could see the doubt creeping into their faces, the uncertainty in their eyes. "You think you can take what's not yours?" she continued, her eyes narrowing. "You think you can come here and destroy lives without consequence?" With each word, she felt a fire ignite within her, a fire fueled by her grief, her loss, and her newfound resolve to protect the innocent. The hunters looked at each other, and for a brief moment, it felt as though they might turn back. But their greed, like a beast of its own, propelled them forward. One of the hunters raised his weapon, a glint of metal in the fading light. "That lioness is nothing but a distraction. Let's take her down and get the elephant," he shouted, his voice dripping with malice. In that split second, Shira knew she had to act fast. She darted forward, her powerful legs propelling her with a speed that belied her size. The first hunter fired, the sound a deafening crack against the peaceful backdrop of the savannah. Shira felt a searing pain slice through her shoulder, but she pressed on, ignoring the blood that stained her golden fur. Instinct took over, and she lunged at the nearest hunter, swiping her massive paw across his face. He stumbled back, shock etched across his features. Tambo, hearing the commotion above, felt a flicker of hope. He had been terrified, trapped in darkness, but now he sensed that someone was fighting for him. He trumpeted loudly, a sound that echoed with both fear and newfound determination. "I'm here. I'm not alone," he seemed to cry, his spirit rekindled as he listened to the sounds of struggle above him. Shira fought with the ferocity of a mother lion protecting her young. She was no longer just a survivor. She was a warrior fighting against the very forces that had taken everything from her. With every swipe of her paw, every roar that escaped her throat, she was reclaiming her power and channeling her grief into action. The hunters, realizing they had underestimated her, began to retreat, but Shira was relentless. She wouldn't let them escape. "Run, Tambo! Climb!" she shouted down into the pit, her voice strained but filled with urgency. "I'll hold them off. You must get out of here." Tambo's heart raced. The words ignited a spark of hope within him. He looked up at the lioness, who was risking her life for him, and felt a surge of determination. He knew he had to try, for Shira and for himself. With renewed vigor, he began to scramble up the slope she had created from the branches and stones. His tiny legs pushed against the earth, his trunk reaching upward as he struggled to gain traction. Every slip sent a wave of panic through him, but he thought of Shira's brave stance against the hunters, and it fueled his resolve. "I can do this! I can escape!" he trumpeted, the sound echoing through the pit. The hunters, realizing the baby elephant was attempting to escape, turned their attention back to the pit. "We can't let him get away," one shouted, panic creeping into his voice. They charged towards the edge, weapons raised. But just as they reached the pit, Shira lunged again, her powerful body striking one of the hunters and sending him sprawling. "Go now, Tambo!" she called, her eyes fierce, her voice a mixture of pain and determination. Tambo heard her, felt her strength surging through him. With one final push, he climbed higher, his tiny feet scrambling for grip. He could see the light breaking through, the vast expanse of the savannah beyond the pit. Just as he neared the top, Shira's roar echoed again, a sound filled with both defiance and desperation. "You will not take him," she shouted, launching herself at the remaining hunters. Her body collided with theirs, a fierce force of nature as she struggled to keep them at bay. Before we delve further into this heart-pounding tale, I invite you to share your thoughts with us. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. Your engagement keeps these important narratives alive, and we would love to hear from you. Tambo's heart raced as he reached the edge of the pit. The sight of Shira battling the hunters filled him with awe and a fierce sense of loyalty. He could see the struggle in her eyes, the pain from the wounds she had sustained, but she fought on with every ounce of strength she had left. He took a deep breath, gathered all his energy, and with a final push, he heaved himself up and out of the pit. The moment his feet hit solid ground, he turned back to see Shira still engaged in combat. She was a whirlwind of energy, her roars piercing the air, but he could see she was growing weary. The hunters, realizing the tables were turning, began to retreat, scrambling back into the tall grass. Shira had bought Tambo precious moments, but he knew they were running out. "Shira," Tambo called, his voice trembling with urgency. "Come with me, we have to go." But as he took a step forward, Shira faltered, her legs shaking beneath her. The fight had drained her, and the pain from her injuries began to overwhelm her senses. She turned to Tambo, her golden eyes reflecting both pride and sorrow. "I can't leave," she panted, her voice strained. "I need to make sure you're safe." In that fragile moment, a connection blossomed. Between them, a bond forged in the fires of struggle and survival. Tambo felt a surge of emotion, gratitude, fear, and an unwavering determination to protect the lioness who had risked everything for him. "We can do this together," he insisted, stepping closer, his tiny frame trembling with resolve. "You saved me. Now let me help you." Shira looked at him, and in that moment, she understood the depth of his courage. Here was a creature so small, yet filled with a spirit that rivaled her own. She nodded slowly, her heart swelling with pride. "All right, Tambo, we will face this together." With that, the pair turned, ready to confront the looming threats of the savannah side by side. The sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the land, as if nature itself was cheering for their unlikely partnership. They were two souls intertwined in a battle against fate, and with every step they took, they moved closer to freedom and a new beginning. As Tambo and Shira stood together, the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, creating a breathtaking backdrop for their unlikely alliance. The air was thick with tension, but amidst the uncertainty, a bond had formed, a bond forged from shared determination and resilience. Tambo's heart raced, but he felt emboldened by Shira's presence. "Let's go, Shira," he urged, his voice strong despite his small size. Shira nodded, her fierce spirit rekindled by the baby elephant's unwavering courage. Together, they turned to face the savannah, their shared path illuminated by the fading light. The world around them seemed to hold its breath, a moment suspended in time where the hunter and the hunted were united in a common goal: survival. As they moved away from the pit, Shira's keen senses picked up the sounds of the hunters regrouping in the distance. "We need to find cover," she whispered, her voice low but filled with urgency. The shadows deepened around them, and the night began to encroach upon their world. Tambo nodded, his instincts aligning with hers as they made their way toward the thick brush nearby, a sanctuary where they could regroup and strategize. They slipped into the dense undergrowth, the sweet scent of grass and earth filling their lungs. Shira's mind raced, her warrior instincts guiding her thoughts. "If we can reach the riverbank, we might find safety there. The hunters won't follow us into the water." Tambo listened intently, his eyes wide with understanding. "Let's hurry then! We can do this!" With Shira leading the way, they navigated through the foliage, each step drawing them further from the pit of despair and closer to hope. Tambo's heart swelled with gratitude for the lioness who had become his protector. He couldn't help but glance up at her, marveling at her strength and grace. Despite her injuries, she moved with a fluidity that was both powerful and beautiful, a testament to her fierce spirit. As they approached the riverbank, the sound of rushing water grew louder, a soothing melody that contrasted with the chaos of their recent encounter. The moonlight shimmered on the surface of the water, casting a silvery glow that illuminated their path. Tambo felt a sense of calm wash over him, the cool mist from the river refreshing against his skin. But their reprieve was short-lived. From the shadows emerged the hunters, their silhouettes stark against the night sky. "There they are!" one shouted, pointing toward Tambo and Shira. Panic surged through Tambo as he realized they had been spotted. "Run!" Shira commanded, her fierce instincts kicking in once more. Without hesitation, they dashed toward the water's edge. Tambo's legs moved as fast as they could, his heart pounding in rhythm with the sound of rushing water. Shira was beside him, her powerful body propelling them forward like a rushing tide. "We need to get into the water," she urged, and Tambo followed her lead, leaping into the cool embrace of the river. The water enveloped them, and Tambo instinctively began to swim, his natural buoyancy carrying him along. Shira joined him, her strong strokes cutting through the water with ease. They moved downstream, the current aiding their escape as the hunters watched helplessly from the bank. "Keep going, Tambo," Shira encouraged, her voice steady even as the adrenaline surged through her. "We're almost free." Tambo's heart swelled with determination. He could feel the weight of their shared struggle driving him forward, the bond between them growing stronger with every stroke. As they swam, Tambo caught glimpses of the hunters on the riverbank, their shouts fading into the background. The water washed away their fears, and for the first time since he had fallen into the pit, Tambo felt a sense of liberation. The river was a sanctuary, a place where they could escape the past and embrace the future. But the journey was not without its challenges. As they navigated the twists and turns of the river, Tambo spotted fallen branches and debris that threatened to obstruct their path. "Look out!" he shouted, his voice rising above the sound of the rushing water. Shira quickly maneuvered her body, pushing Tambo toward a wider section of the river, where the current was gentler. "Stay close to me," she called, her voice filled with urgency. Tambo clung to her side, trusting the lioness who had become his savior. Together, they navigated the obstacles, their hearts pounding with the thrill of adventure and the fear of the unknown. As they swam further downstream, the sounds of the hunters faded into the distance, replaced by the soothing sounds of nature, crickets chirping, frogs croaking, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. The moonlight illuminated their path, casting a silver sheen on the water that felt almost magical. Finally, they reached a small island in the middle of the river, a hidden sanctuary where they could take a moment to catch their breath. Tambo clambered onto the grassy bank, shaking the water from his body as he turned to Shira. "We made it," he exclaimed, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Shira followed him onto the island, her heart swelling with pride at their escape. "We did," she said, her voice softening as she looked at the young elephant. "But we have to remain cautious. The hunters may still be searching for us." They settled onto the soft grass, the moonlight bathing them in its glow. Tambo looked up at Shira, his heart filled with gratitude. "Thank you for saving me, Shira. I wouldn't be here without you." The lioness smiled, her eyes reflecting the bond they had forged in the face of adversity. "And I wouldn't have found my purpose again without you, Tambo. You showed me that even in the darkest moments there is light, hope, and the possibility of redemption." As they rested on the island, the bond between them deepened. Tambo realized that they were no longer just an elephant and a lioness. They were allies, friends, and a testament to the power of connection. Together, they had faced danger and emerged stronger, proving that love and courage could transcend the boundaries of nature. But as the night wore on, Tambo couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was far from over. The hunters may have been left behind, but the savannah held its own challenges. He glanced at Shira, who was staring into the darkness, her expression contemplative. "What will we do now?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Shira turned to him, her fierce gaze steady. "We will find your herd, Tambo. We will ensure you are safe, but we will also face whatever comes our way together." Her words were a promise, a vow that resonated deep within Tambo's heart. With newfound determination, they began to strategize their next steps. They needed to find a way back to Tambo's herd, to reunite him with his family, who must be worried sick. But they also had to ensure that they would not fall prey to the hunters again. "Let's follow the river upstream," Shira suggested, her voice filled with purpose. "It will lead us back toward the plains where your herd roams. We can stay hidden in the tall grass and use the river as our guide." Tambo nodded, feeling a surge of excitement at the prospect of returning to his family. As they set off along the bank, the moonlight illuminated their path, casting long shadows that danced in the gentle breeze. The savannah was alive with sounds, and Tambo felt a sense of belonging return. To him, he was no longer alone. He had Shira by his side, a fierce guardian who had become his friend. Their journey was filled with moments of laughter and camaraderie, as Tambo shared stories about his adventures in the savannah, and Shira spoke of her life as a lioness. They learned from each other, their differences creating a beautiful tapestry of experiences that enriched their bond. But as dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, they reached a clearing that overlooked the vast plains. Tambo's heart raced as he spotted his herd grazing peacefully in the distance. "Look, Shira, there they are," he exclaimed, his voice filled with joy. Shira smiled, her heart swelling with happiness for the young elephant. "You're almost home, Tambo," she said softly, her voice filled with affection. But as they prepared to move closer, a sense of apprehension washed over her. "Remember, we need to approach carefully. Your herd may not understand our bond yet." Tambo nodded, his excitement tempered by Shira's wisdom. "I'll explain everything," he promised, feeling a newfound sense of responsibility. "They'll understand." Together, they moved closer to the edge of the clearing, the tall grass swaying gently around them. Tambo's heart raced as he stepped into the open, his eyes fixed on his family. They looked up, sensing his presence, and for a moment, time stood still. Then, as if on cue, his mother rushed forward, her powerful frame cutting through the grass with urgency. "Tambo!" she trumpeted, her voice filled with a mix of relief and heartbreak. Where have you been? Tambo felt a wave of emotion wash over him as he ran toward her, their reunion a powerful moment filled with love. But he turned back to Shira, who stood a few paces away, her expression a mixture of pride and trepidation. "I'm home, Mom!" Tambo cried, nuzzling against his mother's side, the warmth of her presence wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. His mother's trunk curled around him, lifting him slightly off the ground as she inspected him for any signs of injury. "We thought we lost you. What happened?" As Tambo relayed the harrowing tale of his fall into the pit and the incredible bravery of Shira, he felt a swell of pride in his chest. "And she saved me, Mom. She fought off the hunters to protect me." His mother's eyes widened in disbelief as she turned to look at Shira, who stood a respectful distance away, her posture tense but unwavering. The herd, sensing the tension in the air, shifted uneasily. Tambo's mother stepped forward, her protective instincts flaring. "You brought my son back," she said, her voice both grateful and wary. "But you are still a lioness, and we are not safe with you here." Shira held her ground, her golden eyes meeting the mother elephant's gaze. "I understand your concern, but I did not come here to harm him or any of you. Tambo's bravery inspired me, and I could not stand by and let him suffer." The herd murmured among themselves, uncertainty rippling through them like a breeze through the grass. Tambo, feeling the weight of the moment, stepped forward. "Please, everyone, Shira is not our enemy. She saved my life. I was trapped, and she risked everything to help me escape." His mother's eyes softened, and she studied Shira with a new perspective. "You risked your life for him?" she asked, her voice laced with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. "I did," Shira replied, her voice steady. "I know the pain of loss, and I could not let another innocent creature suffer the same fate as my own cubs. Tambo deserves a chance to live, just as all creatures do." The tension hung in the air, thick and palpable, as the herd considered Shira's words. Tambo's heart raced, fearing that his new friend's bravery would be met with hostility. But then, slowly, his mother stepped forward again, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. "If you are truly sincere, then you must understand that we cannot trust easily. The savannah is filled with dangers, and we must protect one another." Shira nodded, her respect for the elephants deepening. "I understand. Trust is earned, and I'm willing to prove my intentions. I will not harm Tambo or his family, and I will protect him as long as he needs me." A hush fell over the herd as they absorbed her words. Tambo's heart swelled with hope. "We can be allies," he suggested, his voice filled with excitement. "Together we can watch out for each other. The savannah is dangerous, and we can face it as one." Tambo's mother regarded him with a mixture of pride and concern. "You are brave, my son, but trust is not given lightly. We must be cautious." Shira stepped forward, her gaze earnest. "I am willing to prove my loyalty. If you will allow me to stay, I promise to help protect Tambo and your herd." After a long moment, Tambo's mother turned to the rest of the herd, her voice firm. "We will give her a chance, but let it be known that any sign of treachery will be met with the full strength of our herd." A murmur of agreement rippled through the elephants, and Tambo felt a rush of relief wash over him. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, everyone," he exclaimed, turning to Shira, who stood tall and proud, her eyes gleaming with gratitude. With a cautious peace established, Shira approached Tambo's mother, her heart pounding in her chest. "I promise, I will not let you down," she said, her voice sincere. Days turned into weeks, and the unlikely trio, Tambo, Shira, and his mother, formed an inseparable bond. Together, they roamed the savannah, a symbol of cooperation and resilience. Shira learned the ways of the elephants, how to navigate the vast landscapes and communicate with them in a language all their own. Tambo became her guide, introducing her to the beauty of the savannah, from vibrant waterholes to hidden groves filled with sweet fruit. In turn, Shira taught Tambo about the delicate balance of life in the wild, the importance of vigilance and strength in the face of danger. She shared stories of her own adventures, tales of the fierce pride she had once led, and the lessons she had learned through hardship. Tambo listened with wide eyes, soaking in every word, his admiration for Shira growing with each passing day. One afternoon, as they rested beneath the shade of a broad acacia tree, Tambo asked, "Shira, will you always be my protector?" Shira looked down at the young elephant, her heart swelling with affection. "As long as you need me, Tambo, but remember you are strong too. You have already shown great bravery. You can protect yourself and those you love." Tambo nodded, feeling a sense of pride at her words. "I want to be strong like you, Shira. I want to protect my family and friends." "You already are," she replied, her voice warm. "It takes courage to stand up for what is right, just as you did when you called for me." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink, Tambo felt a sense of belonging wash over him. He was no longer the frightened baby elephant trapped in a pit. He was part of a new family, a community that transcended species. But the savannah held its challenges, and as the days grew warmer, whispers of hunters began to circulate through the grass. Tambo's mother noticed the tension among the herd, their instincts alerting them to the encroaching danger. "We must remain vigilant," she warned one evening, as they gathered under the stars. "The hunters are growing bolder, and we cannot afford to let our guard down." Shira's ears pricked up at the mention of danger, her instincts flaring to life. "I will help you keep watch," she offered, her voice firm. "We will work together to protect your herd from those who wish to harm it." With Shira's keen senses and the elephant's strength in numbers, they devised a plan. Shira would patrol the outskirts of their territory, keeping a watchful eye for any signs of hunters, while Tambo and his mother would ensure the herd remained safe and hidden during the day. As the sun rose each morning, Tambo would wait anxiously for Shira's return, his heart racing with anticipation. He had grown close to her, and the thought of losing her filled him with dread. Each time she returned, she brought with her news of the savannah, of changes in the landscape, and of other animals who shared their home. One afternoon, as they rested in a secluded grove, Tambo asked, "Shira, do you think we can ever be truly free from the hunters?" Shira hesitated, her expression thoughtful. "Freedom is a complex thing, Tambo. It means different things to different creatures. For some, it is the ability to roam without fear. For others, it is the strength to protect those they love." Tambo pondered her words, feeling the weight of what it meant to be free. "I want to help everyone be free," he declared, his voice filled with determination. Shira smiled, her heart swelling with pride for the young elephant. "You have a brave spirit, Tambo. Together, we will face whatever comes our way, and we will protect those who cannot protect themselves." As they continued their patrols, the bond between Tambo and Shira deepened, a testament to their shared experiences and the power of friendship. They became a force to be reckoned with, embodying the strength of unity in the face of adversity. But the savannah was unforgiving, and one fateful day, as Tambo and Shira roamed near the riverbank, they encountered a group of hunters setting traps in the underbrush. Tambo's heart raced with fear as he realized the danger they were in. "Shira, we have to warn the herd." Without a moment's hesitation, Shira sprang into action. "Stay close to me, Tambo. We'll outsmart them." Together they moved stealthily through the grass, their instincts guiding them as they navigated the treacherous terrain. Tambo's heart raced as they approached the herd, his mother's silhouette becoming clearer in the distance. "Mum, Shira and I found the hunters!" he shouted, urgency lacing his voice. The herd looked up, concern etched across their faces. Shira stepped forward, her expression fierce. "We need to move quickly. They're setting traps, and we cannot afford to be caught off guard." Tambo's mother nodded, her protective instincts kicking in. "We must gather the herd and find a safe place to hide. Shira, can you guide us?" "Of course," Shira replied, her voice steady. "Follow my lead and stay alert." As they moved together, Tambo felt a surge of determination. He was no longer just a scared baby elephant. He was part of a team, a warrior, alongside Shira and his family. They navigated the grasslands, their hearts pounding in unison as they maneuvered away from the traps and toward safety. But as the herd approached the thicker brush, Tambo caught sight of a group of hunters advancing through the tall grass. Panic surged within him as he realized they were cutting off their escape route. "Shira, they're coming!" he shouted, his voice filled with urgency. Shira turned, her eyes narrowing as she assessed the situation. "We need to split up," she said, her voice firm. "Some of us must create a distraction while the others find cover. Tambo, stay close to your mother." The herd shifted uneasily, fear palpable in the air. Tambo's mother nodded, her protective instincts flaring. "We will follow your lead, Shira. We trust you." With a fierce determination, Shira rallied the strongest members of the herd. "I'll draw their attention. When I do, you all must move quietly and stay hidden. We must protect Tambo at all costs." Tambo felt a mix of fear and admiration for the lioness who had become not just his protector, but a pivotal part of their community. "Be careful, Shira," he urged, his heart racing. With a final nod, Shira dashed toward the hunters, her powerful body moving with grace and purpose. She let out a loud roar that echoed across the savannah, a primal sound that sent shivers down Tambo's spine. The hunters froze, their attention drawn to the fierce lioness charging toward them. "Now!" Tambo's mother commanded, nudging him forward. They moved swiftly into the underbrush, the herd following closely behind. Tambo's heart pounded as he glanced back, watching Shira confront the hunters. "Over here, you cowards!" she shouted, her voice ringing with defiance. The hunters turned their attention to her, their expressions a mix of shock and determination. "Get the lioness!" one of them shouted, brandishing his weapon. As the hunters advanced, Shira's instincts kicked in. She weaved through the grass, using her agility to evade their grasp. Tambo could feel the tension in the air, a palpable fear that hung like a heavy fog. But he trusted Shira. She had faced danger before. She would not back down now. "Stay hidden!" his mother urged, her voice low but commanding. They moved deeper into the thicket, finding a small clearing where they could observe without being seen. Tambo felt a surge of worry for Shira, but his mother's presence grounded him. "Do you think she'll be all right?" Tambo asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "She's a warrior," his mother replied, her gaze steady. "She will do everything she can to protect us." As they watched, Shira continued to evade the hunters, her movements graceful yet fierce. She was a force of nature, using the terrain to her advantage, darting behind trees and leaping over obstacles. Tambo could see her muscles tense, her focus unwavering as she led the hunters away from the herd. But just as it seemed she might escape, one of the hunters managed to catch a glimpse of her. "There she is!" he shouted, raising his weapon. Tambo's heart dropped as he watched the scene unfold. "Shira, look out!" he cried, his voice filled with desperation. In that moment, time seemed to slow. Shira turned, her fierce gaze locking onto the hunter, and with a powerful leap, she sprang toward him. Tambo's breath caught in his throat as he witnessed the confrontation, the raw power of the lioness clashing with the greed of the hunters. "Run, Tambo!" Shira called out, her voice filled with urgency. "Get to safety!" Tambo hesitated, torn between his desire to help and the instinct to protect himself. But then he felt his mother's gentle nudge, urging him to move. "We must go, my son. We cannot help her from here." With one last glance at Shira, Tambo turned and followed his mother deeper into the thicket. The sounds of struggle echoed behind them, a reminder of the danger they faced. But Tambo's heart swelled with determination. He knew that Shira was fighting for them, and he would not forget her bravery. As they reached a safe distance, Tambo felt a mix of fear and hope. "We have to do something," he exclaimed, his voice trembling. His mother paused, her eyes filled with understanding. "We will help her, Tambo, but we must be strategic. If We rush in blindly, we could endanger ourselves. Tambo nodded, taking a deep breath as he steadied his resolve. What do we do? We'll create a diversion of our own, his mother declared. We'll use the terrain to our advantage and draw the hunters away from Shira. We must work as a team. Tambo's heart raced with excitement as he felt the weight of responsibility settle upon him. I'm ready, he said, determination coursing through him. With renewed purpose, they gathered the herd, whispering their plan, each elephant nodding in agreement. Tambo's mother led the charge, moving quietly through the brush, their massive forms blending with the shadows. Tambo felt a sense of pride swell within him. They were a family, and together they would face whatever came their way. As they approached a nearby ridge, Tambo's mother turned to him. When I give the signal, use your voice to create a distraction. We'll move from opposite sides to confuse them. Tambo nodded, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He watched as his mother took her position at the edge of the ridge, her powerful frame silhouetted against the sky. The hunters were still focused on Shira, giving them the perfect opportunity to act. Now, his mother called, and Tambo took a deep breath. He opened his mouth and trumpeted loudly, the sound echoing across the savannah. The hunters turned, startled by the sudden noise. What was that? One of them shouted, their focus shifting away from Shira. Seizing the moment, Tambo's mother charged forward, leading the herd in a thunderous stampede. The ground shook beneath them as they barreled toward the hunters, their presence a formidable force. Tambo felt exhilarated as he joined the charge, his small frame moving with surprising speed. Together they thundered toward the hunters, sending a clear message: they would not back down. The hunters, realizing they were outmatched, began to retreat. Shira, seeing the tide turn, took advantage of the chaos. With a fierce roar, she leaped into action, her strength and agility on full display. Come on, Tambo shouted, urging the herd forward. They surged toward the hunters, their combined might pushing the intruders back. As the hunters fled, Tambo felt a surge of triumph. They had done it. They had protected their home and each other, proving that unity and courage could overcome any challenge. When the dust settled and the savannah grew quiet once more, Tambo turned to see Shira approaching, her expression a mixture of relief and pride. You did it, she exclaimed, her voice filled with admiration. Tambo beamed, feeling a sense of accomplishment swell within him. We did it together. You fought for us, and we fought for you. Shira nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude for the young elephant and the herd that had embraced her as one of their own. You are all warriors, she said, her voice filled with emotion. You showed great bravery today. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Tambo felt a sense of belonging wash over him. He had found not only a protector in Shira, but a family in the herd. Together they had faced danger and emerged stronger, united by their shared experiences and unwavering bond. In that moment, Tambo realized that the savannah was not just a place of beauty. It was a tapestry of stories woven through the lives of its inhabitants, and he was proud to be a part of it, standing alongside Shira, his fierce protector and friend. As they settled under the stars that night, Tambo snuggled close to his mother, a sense of peace enveloping him. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, a family bound by love, courage, and resilience. And in the heart of the savannah, the echoes of their extraordinary journey would resonate, a testament to the unbreakable bonds that could form even in the face of adversity.